What's going on, guys? I'm the filmmaker and I love movies, and welcome back to another video. And it is of course that time of the month again. Welcome back to what I watched in January 2021. Today we're going to be running through every film I watched, of course, last month. Now this episode is going to be the biggest one yet. And that is simply because it is the one where I'm going to be talking about the most films. It has just been gradually building ever since November. I started doing this in November 2020. I watched a few more in December, and now this month I watched 87 films in 1 month. England is in a lockdown. I have college 3 days a week, so I have 4 days pretty much to do whatever I want. So yeah. That's what I spent most of my time doing, because I will have you know I didn't spend the entire month just watching movies. I was up to a few other things, which I'm sure a lot of you know about from my social media platforms. I do call myself the filmmaker for a reason, so hopefully this month you'll be getting something quite interesting indeed. Right, without further ado, let's get on into the video. Hope you enjoy it. Okay, so I kicked off the month and the year with In the Heat of the Night. I have a really lovely Criterion Blu-ray of that film. It is an excellent social thriller with great performances. I would recommend. Then I watched Ex Machina. I thought the film was really good. I really liked it. A few pacing issues here and there. I thought the film was going to do more. I really liked Oscar Isaac in the film. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I know a lot of people love it. I just really enjoyed it, and the performances were great. Then I watched Duel. This was one of Spielberg's first films, and it is maybe even one of his best. It's really great. Really thrilling direction from Spielberg. You will be noticing a trend within this video. I have been rewatching and watching the films that I haven't yet seen of from Steven Spielberg. A few films though I have missed out, but of course I kicked it off with Duel and continued that with a double bill with the Sugarland Express, another really great early Spielberg film. The visuals are great in here. I love the score from John Williams. So yeah, it's pretty much all one big car chase. I'd recommend this one as well. Then I watched Jackie Brown for the first time. Tarantino film, I know that I haven't seen. And okay, so when I first watched it, I gave it a 3.7 out of 5, which you can see on the screen now. I thought it was good, it was solid, I enjoyed it, nothing more, right? Well, very soon, in a few days, of course this is in early February, I'll be rewatching Jackie Brown because I can't get it out of my head. I really think I'm gonna love it when I rewatch it. So yeah, even in my review I said I was underwhelmed, but it's just growing on me. I love the characters, I like the direction, it's just really smooth and really kind of quiet, and yeah, it's nice, I like it. Then I watched Collateral. Yeah, I was not a fan of this. First of all, it looked like it was shot on an iPhone. I do believe this was one of the early films to be shot digitally. It looked terrible, and I just didn't care about anything. Then I watched Columbus. The cinematography is just really lovely, but the story and the characters didn't exactly grab me. The dialogue was interesting though, so I would recommend this. Then I watched my first John Ford film. It is Stagecoach. Now, there is a 10-minute kind of action chase sequence in this film, which is incredible. Apart from that, it's pretty solid. John Wayne is great. The characters are quite interesting. It can get a little repetitive. So yeah, the 10-minute chase sequence was great. Everything else was solid. Then another Western, I followed it up with Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. This was a really good Western. You've got countless train and bank robberies, which I really liked, outlaws on the run, and beautiful scenery. I know everyone mentions this, but Paul Newman and Robert Redford give terrific performances on screen together. They're really great. I also really enjoyed the stylistic choices. Some moments kind of felt like a silent film where, you know, there's no dialogue. The music kind of echoes that as well, and the opening as well. So yeah, I like the stylistic choices they went with here. Then I watched Francis Ha. This was being recommended to me by Shane Harrison. Me and Shane did a collaboration together. He named this one of his favourite Criterion releases, and I can see why. I'll probably be picking this up on Criterion. This was just great. Loved the dialogue. The pacing is so good. The editing, Greta Gerwig's performance. Yeah, I really enjoyed Francis Ha. I just think the film is going to stay great. It might not amount to anything more. We'll see. And then I watched Jaws, of course, a classic rewatch. I mean, How can you not enjoy Jaws? There's some really brilliant bits of editing and some great sequences in here. It's just a classic. Then I watched Something Evil. This was another Spielberg TV movie, and I believe this was after Duel. He directed this after Duel, and the script is awful in this film, and the acting is not good, especially from a particular child actor. Hey, Spielberg does get a few interesting moments in here with the camera work, but apart from that I was completely bored. And then another terrible Spielberg film, 1941. Looks like Spielberg on a budget is just as bad as TV Spielberg. This was just annoying, bad direction, bad acting. It's just a bad film. I will say this, Spielberg, he hasn't had many bad films. This is one of them. I'd stay away from it. Then I watched Around the World in 80 Days. Oh, this was a drag. This was about maybe 3 hours long. And yeah, David Niven's in this. He pretty much plays David Niven. It's very, quite racist actually. I know this was in 1956 it was released, but yeah, I still can't really make an exception for some of the terrible stereotypes they pull off in this film, because it is Around the World in 80 Days, and so they go around exploring different cultures in very stereotypical ways. Then I watched De Palma. This was such a interesting kind of documentary thing. It's pretty much just Brian De Palma. He's being interviewed, and it is directed, this documentary, by Noah Baumbach and someone else called Jake Paltrow, I think. And you don't hear them asking him the questions, but it's just like he's sat there telling you about his entire career. I think he actually touches on every single film he made, so it would be very interesting to watch for a big De Palma fan. I like him, and I definitely want to watch more of his films after watching this. Then I watched the new Netflix film Pieces of a Woman. Main takeaways from this film was the excellent performance by Vanessa Kirby, some great long shots. Eleanor Bernstein was also, she made a big impression on me. I really liked her performance as the mother. I just didn't like Shia LaBeouf. I didn't like his performance, and I didn't like his character. Didn't like him at all. Then I watched Argo, and there's a few good suspense moments in this. I liked a few moments, but apart from that, it didn't really do much for me. Then I watched 3 Buster Keaton short films, that being Oh Doctor, Coney Island and Out West. A lot of them do blend into one, but I do want to touch on Coney Island. This must be the most enjoyable Arbuckle and Keaton short thus far in the collection. The setting makes for some great comedic sequences. And Out West, it's silly fun. Keaton gets some great moments. He plays actually a really cool character. Also, if any of you are wondering why I'm watching some Buster Keaton Arbuckle short films, because I watched 3 in my last video, that's because I am devouring this beautiful box set I got from Masters of Cinema. This is, I believe, still kind of available to buy. I don't think this is limited to any copies, but it is one hell of a set. You get like over 30 short films in this set, a really great booklet which I've been having a read through. Yeah, just plugging Masters of Cinema's release of some early Buster Keaton and Fatty Arbuckle short films. I'd highly recommend this set. It's just, so good. Really having a good time working my way through it. If you like classic silent film comedies, that is, and Buster Keaton. And then I watched Indiana Jones Raiders of the Lost Ark. I mean, I have seen this film about 12 times. I've logged it on Letterboxd, I can tell you that. Throughout me having Letterboxd for about 4 years now, it is just like the best adventure film ever. No one will be able to top it. It's endlessly iconic, endlessly fun, endlessly entertaining. Man, this is one of the other films that will never get old. Then I watched The Eagle Has Landed. This is by John Sturges. Now, John Sturges, he is kind of an on and off director. He did The Great Escape. I love The Great Escape. It's such a good time. But apart from that, I mean, he did do Bad Day at Black Rock as well, but he did like The Magnificent Seven, Gunfighter, OK Corral, and this film. Those films, I do find them just really basic. I know Magnificent Seven, a lot of people like that. I don't. I found it like just basic and not good. This one, definitely not good. I think one of the main reasons why I didn't like it that much was because the entire cast plays Nazis. I just couldn't connect to it. I know some of them obviously rebel back because you've got kind of Donald Sutherland and Michael Caine, who are very likeable actors, but still, I don't want to watch Nazis do Nazi things. I want to watch British people or American people going on a mission against Nazis, okay? I don't want to see that. Then I rewatched There Will Be Blood. Now, I have rated this 5 out of 5 in the past, but on this rewatch, yeah, it's kind of solidified. This isn't a 5 out of 5 film, but it's still incredible. One of the reasons why I did take away the 5 out of 5 is just because I never got the same impact while watching it again. Like 2001: A Space Odyssey, 8.5, Goodfellas. Every time I watch those films, I just completely love them. I lose my senses, I lose where I am because I just love the film so much. There Will Be Blood is really well done, masterfully directed, but still doesn't really hit the nail on the head for me with a 5 out of 5 film. Then I rewatched E.T. the Extraterrestrial and I had a magical time with this film. Wonderful time. I've seen this film in the past about twice, I think, and this rewatch was the most fun and the most good time I've had with it. This is one of the films that defined the 1980s. Spielberg perfectly captures the feeling of wonder and excitement of being a child. Henry Thomas delivers one of the best child performances ever. It's hard to fault it. E.T. is just, I really do love E.T. Then I watched Walk the Line. Now, Nicholas, sorry if you're watching this video, you're going to be looking at the score and thinking, what? Because I know you do like this film. But I did think the opening was good. I like the opening, the direction's pretty good, Joaquin Phoenix's performance is great. Reese Witherspoon is in this one as well. I really liked her character. But yeah, I just thought, I think everything was quite basic. I'm sorry, the music was okay. I'm not a massive Johnny Cash fan, that might have had something to do with it as well. Then I watched The Discreet Charm of the Bourgeoisie. This is the first film I watched from Louis Buñuel. I definitely want to watch more of his work. It's very comical, very unique. It kind of goes from a screwball comedy-esque to a surrealist cinema, which is quite nice. It's got a blanket of good laughs to be had. Then I watched Love and Tosha. This documentary I'd recommend to everyone, especially if you're a creative, if you are an actor, if you write, whether that be films or books, if you are a filmmaker like me. I do all those things. I write my screenplays, I direct my films, and I act in them. This was just so inspiring. It's on Amazon Prime. Go watch it. This really pushed me to be more creative. Yeah, just go watch it, please. Then I watched The Searchers. Another classic, but I'm starting to realise now that I'm not a big fan of the American Westerns. Some of the shots in this did look great. I mean, the opening and closing shots, both of those are very iconic to the film. I really did like them. John Wayne, how can you not like the guy? He's very cool in this film as well. But it was solid. Nothing really more. I prefer my spaghetti westerns. Then I watched Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. This is just great. Really good time. It is quite clunky with the script, I will admit. It certainly is, in my opinion, the lesser of the three in the great Indiana Jones trilogy. We're just not going to talk about Crystal Skull. I'm acknowledging it, but I'm not going to talk about it. Yeah, I do like Temple of Doom. It's very kind of goofy and a little campy, but it's still such a good time. Then I watched Ibara, Horror of the Deep. This was not much of a horror of the deep. This was quite bad, actually. One of the bad Godzilla films from the Showa era. Didn't like it. I can't really remember much from it. Let's just move on. Then I watched Kind Hearts and Coronets. This is a British comedy with Alec Guinness in, and Alec Guinness plays loads of different characters in this. It's really great, and a few good laughs to be had. Then I watched Oh Hazard About Hazard, my first Robert Bresson film, and yeah, if you just go read my Letterboxd review, you can see what this film kind of made me think and do. I couldn't even rate it at the time. It's got a 4 out of 5 here because I just gave it 4 stars on Letterboxd, but I didn't actually give it a proper rating. It's just really kind of beautiful and simple, but it's saying so much and doing so much. On the surface level, I'd describe this as the life of a donkey. Yes, because the main character, I would say, is a donkey. And no, it's not a Shrek spin-off. And this donkey has different owners. Some of them are really kind to him, some of them are really horrible. And then you kind of think, okay, this is more about life. There's loads of biblical links to it as well. It's a very interesting film, so if you like interesting French films like this, I'd recommend it. Then I watched 5 Easy Pieces, an early one for Jack Nicholson, and it is an excellent drama. Nicholson plays a character who doesn't know what he really wants to do in life. He's brought up through a wealthy family of musicians. He's been set up for the orchestra, and yet he works in an oil field. This has got a Criterion Blu-ray release in the UK, so I would recommend picking up to anyone who is kind of on the fence about getting it. I didn't do a Criterion Corner episode on this, but I might in the future because I did like this one a lot. Then I watched Escape the Fog. This was from my new Columbia Noir Indicator box set, which is absolutely lovely. Unfortunately, this one didn't do much for me. It was just like, there's a dream in it. The opening of the film is a dream and that turns out to be kind of an apparition, it comes true. The film is certainly below average. Then I watched the Tales of Hoffman. This is a technicolor wonder. It's pretty much just a play, opera, musical, movie hybrid. When it started, I was really involved in it, but it's, like I said, a play, opera, musical movie. The opera stuff, the whole musical stuff didn't do it for me. I was kind of just sat there kind of thinking, this looks nice, the choreography looks great, the set design looks great, but I just don't really care. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, I've seen this countless times and I can tell you this film will never get old. And then I watched Gunfight at the OK Corral, like I was just mentioned earlier, from John Sturges. This has actually got Burt Lassiter and Kirk Douglas in, who do give memorable performances, but the chemistry between them, kind of the dynamic, was meant to be quite rugged and quite tense, but it kind of just fell flat for me. Then I watched Unforgiven. This was definitely the best Clint Eastwood directed film I watched, mainly because of the story and the performances. Sorry, Eastwood, I thought your direction was good. I still don't think you're really that great at directing. Sorry, Clint. But no, the acting in this is brilliant, because the characters that these actors play, Gene Hackman, Morgan Freeman, Clint Eastwood, they're all actually quite unlikable, but the performances make them likable. I really liked Gene Hackman's character in this. Also, I liked English Bob, but I don't get why he was in the film. Maybe because the guy who's writing his biography that is them with Gene Hackman's character, but still, I wanted English Bob to return because there was a really great scene with English Bob. Then, of course, I rewatched Parasite. This is just a marvel of filmmaking. It does seem quite stereotypical to really love this film, but we all love it for a reason because it's that good. Do I think it should be the highest rated film on Letterboxd? No, I don't. I don't get how it's gotten that high, but it's still brilliant. And then I watched The Lady Killers, another classic British comedy from 1955, which was an absolute delight. Again, starring Alec Guinness. You should definitely watch this. I really do recommend this, especially if you're British. It's really good fun. Then I watched Goodfellas for the about 100th time. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say about this film. It's one of my favourite films of all time. I absolutely love it. And then I watched Taxi Driver, which I could say the exact same thing. And if you're wondering which one I think is better, Goodfellas, just because I've seen it more, but Taxi Driver is, again, so good. Then I watched Investigation of a Citizen Above Suspicion. This was the first film to kick off the Criterion Corner, so if you want to hear my thoughts on that film, I have an in-depth review on the film and the Blu-ray release here. Then I watched The Straight Story. Never thought I'd be seeing a Disney movie directed by David Lynch. I did say it is an unlikely pairing, but the result is a bittersweet tale of Alvin Straight. It's really nice, really relaxing to watch. There's some really great bits of direction from David Lynch. I'd recommend it. It's nothing too difficult to get through. Then I watched Always. This was definitely a lesser Spielberg film. This is slipping to a very below average film. I have a few issues with the characters. Some of the performances are a little over the top, but the lighting's nice. There's some good bits because it follows this kind of pilot who fights forest fires. Those scenes are really good. Then I watched The White Chic. This was Fellini's first solo direction film. I watched this in the honour of his birthday. He's one of my all-time favourite filmmakers, and this is like a comedy. It's really good, actually. Never meet your heroes. That's what I'm going to say about this one. Then I watched Deepwater Horizon. Now this does depict some very harrowing events that happened in real life, but I didn't really feel it. I know, most of the film is this big disaster going on, and I kind of just watched it. That was it. I'm going to draw a parallel here to Schindler's List, which depicts the Holocaust. That film is just masterfully made on every level. This film isn't. That's another reason why it brings it down, because of course Schindler's List is about something absolutely inhuman that happened in history. This isn't, but they're the two kind of horrible things that happen when people lose their lives. Schindler's List, like I'm saying, is a much bigger thing that happened, but Deepwater Horizon still, it was a horrible disaster. Just trying to draw the parallels there. Then I watched Breakfast at Tiffanys. This is one of the classic films with Audrey Hepburn in, and it's solid. There's some good moments in it. I like it. Then I watched Noah Baumbach's The Squid and the Whale. I did like this a lot, actually. Snappy dialogue, great performances. I couldn't ask for more. The runtime is like 1 hour and 20 minutes or something. That is such a great runtime. You just watch a really great film in like really quickly. It's good. like it. Then I watched Hook. This film goes on for way too long. Well, just way too long. It's 2.5 hours. It could have been done in about 90 minutes. Some scenes go on for so long, it takes about an hour to get to Neverland. I'm not joking here, it's almost painful. But it is still a really fun film, great art direction, great production design, even though it is very noticeable. Sometimes you feel like they just raided Disneyland and started filming. But yeah, Robin Williams and Dustin Hoffman at the top of their game. Great performances from those two. And then I watched Jurassic Park. Man, this is so good. I know we all love to hate on Hollywood blockbusters, but this is probably one of the most beloved Hollywood blockbusters for good reason. It's so good, really well made, great characters. I love John Hammond in it. Richard Attenborough's performance is so good. Yeah, I don't know what you're doing if you haven't seen Jurassic Park. Go watch it. Then I watched Snowden, and I was expecting a little more because, well, Oliver Stone directed this, and he's kind of got a knack for exposing the American government. He did JFK, he did Platoon, especially JFK exposing the American government. This film, it does that, but I didn't feel the impact at all. There's a few interesting bits they do with camera work and stuff like that, but that's it. It's just like, what's going on here? Why am I not feeling the impact? I didn't feel like Oliver Stone put much effort into his direction because he can be so good, especially JFK. Such a good film. Then I watched Schindler's List. All I can say is this is Spielberg's masterpiece. Every time I watch the film, which isn't very often because it is incredibly upsetting, but it blows me away every time I watch it. It's so good. Then I watched About Some Meaningless Events. Now, I should probably point out that this film was lost for about 45 years and everyone thought it was gone missing. I think it was made in Morocco and I was just expecting a little more. It's about these filmmakers who don't know what their film's going to be about, so they go and ask people in the streets if, you know, what is your ideal film? What do you want to watch out of a film? Do you watch Moroccan films or do you watch kind of foreign films, which would be American films in their case? And I was interested to watch it. It's on Mubi, but like I said, I was expecting more. Then I watched Top Gun and I just didn't care for this film at all. And The Dictator, I'll admit, a few good laughs here and there. When I say a few, about maybe 2. Apart from that, it's terrible. Then we have Locke. Now, this was a very effective film. It's just like 90 minutes or less, and it's just about this guy driving a car. It's just got Tom Hardy in, and he's kind of sorting out his life in this car journey. He's calling people up, he's on his way to go, I'm not going to ruin anything, but he's having trouble with work, he's having trouble with his marriage. Yeah, it's very effective. Then I watched another 3 Buster Keaton shorts, that being The Bellboy, Moonshine and Goodnight Nurse. The Bellboy, it's just an enjoyable film. Some great stunts in here, very impressive to watch. Moonshine, it wasn't that great. Still some good gags. And then Goodnight Nurse, another film where I just go, meh. And plus they use the same set in this film that they've used in other films, so it just got a little annoying. Then I watched The Lives of Others. Now this is very enjoyable. It's a calm 2.5 hours with subtle yet skilled filmmaking. It does remind me of Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. It's another great film set in the Cold War. This one follows a Stasi agent and the only person he couldn't crack was himself. Then I watched You Only Live Once. This is the first film I watched from Fritz Lang. It was the second film he made in America and it is really great this. Henry Fonda in one of his early roles is excellent. There's some great striking images, clever camera work, great lighting. I couldn't recommend this enough. Then I watched Son of Godzilla, maybe the most traumatizing film I've ever watched because of this guy. Yeah, Baby Godzilla. Not something I ever imagined seeing in my entire life, but I've seen it now and yeah, I've seen it. I don't think I'm ever going to stop seeing it. Every time every time I've lost sleep because of this guy. I've been able to sleep for weeks. Please send help. And then I watched Destroy All Monsters. Now this is what I'm talking about. This is something that I've been wanting for such a long time in these silly kaiju films. Wow, it's just crazy. It's just a massive battle. And god damn it, Baby Godzilla's in this one too. He's still ugly. he's just really, really weird. And then I watched The Long Goodbye. For the most part, this was brilliant. I've only seen 3 Altman films, including this one. This is definitely the film that I like most out of those 3. Just to be clear, those 3 are Nashville and McGave and Mrs. Miller and The Long Goodbye, and I would rank them in that order. Elliot Gould plays Philip Marlowe really well. His performance in this is really great. A few issues I have is, well, the song written for the film, The Long Goodbye, that is the only song that you pretty much hear in the entire film in different variants. From it being on the radio, from it people singing it, from it being used as a soundtrack, people humming it. You know, it's just, I don't get why that was used. If anyone knows why Altman decided to do that, please let me know, because for the life of me, I couldn't figure it out. Then I rewatched, of course, Rolling Thunder Review, a Bob Dylan story by Martin Scorsese. That is episode 2 of the Criterion Corner, so if you want to hear my thoughts on that film, the link is here for you and is in the description. And then I watched Thurman in the Window, another Fritz Lang film, which really did disappoint me. It was just really poorly written. Unfortunately, the writing really bogs it down, and then Fritz Lang just has a lackluster direction. Not good. Even Edward G. Robinson, I think he was probably the best part of the film. And then I watched Trainspotting for the first time, a big film that a lot of people love. Finally got around to watching it, and I can happily say I thought it was brilliant. The big problem I had with the film is that it's very similar to Goodfellas. Definitely from the filmmaking style, but I do admit, yes, there are some stylistic nuances that set the 2 films apart, but even from some of the characters, like there's a very aggressive and violent character in Trainspotting, same with Goodfellas, Joe Pesci's character, but Joe Pesci's character in Goodfellas is number 1 likable, somehow, maybe because he's very funny, and everyone else likes Joe Pesci's character. They're all kind of a little afraid of him, but they know that he probably won't hurt them unless they cross his path. But this character in Trainspotting, everyone's afraid of him, and you can do literally almost nothing and he will still mess you up. So yeah, I didn't really like that character, but again, in hindsight, I do really like this style of filmmaking. Heavy voiceover, fantastic editing, it really works well. Goodfellas set it off. A lot of films copied in what Goodfellas did. Goodfellas, I think, is the OG version of those kind of films. Correct me if I'm wrong. A lot of the films did fall to the wayside. Trainspotting definitely stuck the landing for me, and I will be rewatching very soon. Then I watched The Lost World Jurassic Park, another Spielberg film that suffers from being way too long. Just way too long. Some scenes just go on. Why do they go on for so long? But I mainly quite enjoy this. Great suspense sequences, solid direction from Spielberg, good performances. I like the 3rd act action bit as well, really good. Then I had a Jack Ryan double feature with Patriot Games, and it was just too long. It took too long for us to get to the interesting stuff, and the interesting stuff wasn't even that interesting. And then Clear and Present Danger, which I actually quite enjoyed. It's got Willem Dafoe in as well. I found the story in this film really interesting. Harrison Ford is excellent. Good bits of camera work and editing. Yeah, I really do like Clear and Present Danger. Then I watched Poor Cow, my first Ken Loach film. I just thought Carol White in this film was superb. She just plays the character so well. She doesn't give kind of a Hollywood acting to this. She's just so genuine and so much like a real person. Everyone in this film is so much like a real person, almost documentary-like. It's such a genuine film. I really did like Poor Cow. And then I watched Castaway. Possibly Tom Hanks' best performance I've ever seen him in. It's just really great. Zemeckis, his direction is actually quite good in here. I do find him to be quite a hit or miss director. He did Back to the Future, those were great, but then he also did like Polar Express, which I didn't like at all, or Welcome to Marwen, which I haven't seen but I've heard bad things about. But yeah, he does a great job here. One of my big problems with the film is he would have died. I don't believe that he would have made it out there. He's topless for a big portion of the film, and there's a bit where he's on this raft and he's completely topless, and he's going in the water and things. I'm just thinking, he is going to be freezing cold. How does he not die from hypothermia? How does he not die from anything like pneumonia or something? I don't get it. I just didn't believe that he would be able to survive. Then I watched Leon the Professional. I did watch the director's cut of this one. I do feel like I should have watched the theatrical cut. Director's cut was still pretty good. Didn't do much to impress me though. I don't understand why loads of people love this. Natalie Portman's performance was on and off. Sometimes she would be killing it, she would be doing really great because she's only a child actor in this. She was doing really good stuff. Then other moments she was actually quite bad, and also her character is very weird, and I can't believe they actually wrote it that she fell in love with Leon. This is a little bit of a spoiler here, so please skip past this part if you haven't seen Leon and really want to watch it, even though I wouldn't highly recommend this film at all. But she somehow, some reason, falls in love with Leon, and it's implied that she wants to have sex with him. And she's like 12 in the film, and he's like 40, or at 40 at least. I didn't like that creative choice. Then I watched Saving Private Ryan. This is such a good film. Wow, like, it is very close to a 5 out of 5, as you can see. I do have like a very hair problems of the pacing and things, but apart from that, I just think it is just such a beautiful tribute to all the soldiers that fought in pretty much any war, but especially World War II. 10 minutes shy of 3 hours, and yet feels like 90 minutes. It's like, if you haven't seen Saving Private Ryan, I urge you to go watch it. It's one of Spielberg's best. Then I watched the new film, The Dig. I can see why loads of people think this is boring and bad. I didn't think it was bad. I thought it was dull in moments. Ralph Fiennes, he's one of my favourite actors, and his performance, he just delivers a great performance in anything he's in. The editing I found very odd because there was so many J-cuts. I just got annoying and a little pretentious. And it also relied too heavily on a lens flare to make the shot look nice, because it is shot well. And I do like a good lens flare, but when you use it almost in every shot to make it look nice, it does become quite tiresome. Then I watched Sabrina. This was also really good. Billy Wilder, you've got Humphrey Bogart, William Holden, and Audrey Hepburn. It is so well directed by Billy Wilder. Really great story. It's kind of like a romantic comedy. But yeah, I did like this film a lot. Then we've got Carnival of Souls. This film is a very atmospheric horror film. I felt this atmosphere a lot. This might be one of the OG films to give this kind of atmosphere off. It was released in 1962, but I just couldn't really connect. I thought the lead performance by the lead actress, her name Cadmus Hilagos, I think, she was really good in it, but yeah, it was nothing new to me. But then again, it could have been the first of its kind. I don't really know the history of the film. Then I gave one of my favourite films of all time a rewatch. I'm just going to give you a read of my Letterboxd review because this sums it up perfectly, because this film is just incredible. The music is just phenomenal, the direction is beyond outstanding, the script is genius, the camera work and overall cinematography is faultless and enhances the experience of the film. Everything about this is what I love about cinema. Federico Fellini, filmmaking, Italian cinema, it is everything and more. If that has not just convinced you to go and watch this film, I don't know what will. Please go watch it, experience a masterpiece of a film. It is so good. Bear in mind, you'll have to watch it again. It is a little confusing on first watch, but once you get all of it, you're in for a treat. And plus, if you don't get it on first watch, at least you can appreciate all the technical features of it and the performances, all stuff like that. Great. Then I gave Quentin Tarantino's Reservoir Dogs a rewatch, and it is good. I do like this one a lot. The acting, the structure of it as well. Some nice bits of camera work. I do like it when the camera, especially the torture scene, where it's a close-up of the cop's face and the camera is kind of just very slowly going around his face. That's really good. Great moments of camera work in it. And I watched All Monsters Attack. This was brilliant for what it was. Like, I had a good time with this. The film is literally just 70 minutes, which is a perfect time for these kaiju films because usually they're 90 minutes and they feel a hell of a lot longer. I mean, I had a good time with it. Then we have baby Godzilla in it as well. And in this one, he talks. So now in my sleep, I'll be seeing him and hearing him. Then I watched Godzilla vs. Hedorah. This is the most bizarre Godzilla Showa era film I've watched thus far in the collection. It's just crazy, and I wish I liked it more for that, but the craziness just kind of wears you down. Like, we open with an opening credits title sequence, James Bond inspired, obviously. Characters randomly break into song and dance, their instruments magically appear before them. We get bits that are in black and white, then just randomly turn to colour. We have animation segments. It's just crazy. I just don't know what to say, but it isn't that good either. I was kind of half laughing, and then half disinterested. Then I watched another 3 Buster Keaton shorts, the cook backstage in Hayseed. They all kind of blend together. I did like the cook, it was a good laugh, and a dog climbs the ladder, so that was fun. Then I rewatched AI Artificial Intelligence. This is a film that a few people do really like, a few others think it's just boring and bad. If you give yourself the time and kind of surrender yourself to the film and go, okay, let me watch it, it's long, it can be dull and a little boring in points, but what it's saying about human and stuff like that, which I'm sure has been said in many films about artificial intelligence, I still think it is really quite good. And then I finished off the month with, of course, Pulp Fiction, a film that I really should watch more often. I had a constant grin on my face and even a little chuckle now and again when we had some brilliant moments of dialogue. I do love Samuel Jackson's character. Every character in this film is just so well written, the dialogue is on point. That's the biggest thing about the film that I love. The characters, they're so rich, they're so deep, the dialogue is so good. Yeah, I know it's annoying how when you say you love Pulp Fiction now and you kind of give it a 5-star on Letterboxd, everyone does that and it's almost become a cliche to love Pulp Fiction and to be a film student and praise Tarantino. Even though he is great. I don't dislike any of the films he's made so far. I haven't seen Death Proof yet, but I hope I do like that film. Yeah, I really do think he's a fantastic director. He's one of my favourites. Sue me, I don't care. He's good. He makes so many good films. He's not my favourite director of all time, no. He isn't even in my top 3, but still, he is phenomenal. Okay, so there you have it, guys. That was all 87 films I watched in January 2020 and my brief thoughts on some of them. Some of them I went on for, you know, a minute or so to talk about. Others I just tried to keep it very brief because I didn't want this video to go way overboard. So I appreciate everyone who is watching now, since I'm sure some of you might have tuned out. But if you're still watching, I appreciate this. Thank you so much. Remember to like and subscribe. And of course, I will see you again in the next video.